Hey, it's RJ Ronquillo here, and it's an exciting time to be a guitar player right now. You see, Fender is finally getting into the digital modeler floorboard game with their new Tone Master Pro that I have here. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, at the time of filming this video, I haven't received a downloadable manual, nor was there really a manual that came with the box. Just a basic quick start guide, which made me kind of nervous at first because I'm not exactly the most competent when it comes to digital modelers and things with lots of menu screens and buttons and knobs. But I can honestly say, and I'm pretty proud, that I was able to figure out pretty much all of how this works, and I got pretty deep into it without any outside help. Yay me! And I think a large part of the reason is because it's got such a great user interface and really how intuitive it is to use everything. So if you've ever shied away from new guitar tech gear like me, when it comes to like modelers and such, and if you find that this type of stuff is kind of overwhelming, you're gonna wanna watch this video. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you 3 things that I like about this and 3 things that I dislike about it. Now, I should also mention that they sent me this FR12 powered speaker, which is a full range flat response powered speaker designed specifically for digital modelers like the Tone Master Pro, and really to use these devices in live situations. So we're gonna try to hear a little bit of that later in the video, but I've actually got the Tone Master Pro hooked up in stereo to my recording interface using 2 XLR cables, which is most likely how I would use it in real life, whether I'm recording direct or gigging and going direct to the soundboard. I just love going stereo, and something like this really lends itself to being heard in stereo. There's a ton of stereo effects and routing options that allow you to, for instance, route 1 amp or pedal chain to the left side and another one to the right side, which is pretty cool. So before we turn this on, I kind of wanted to show you guys the outside and all of the inputs and outputs that this thing has. So I guess starting from the right, that makes sense. You got the power, you've got some MIDI inputs and outputs, a USB jack, I'm assuming to charge your phone. No, just kidding. Probably to do some updates, firmware updates. Micro SD card. That's interesting, maybe to save some of your patches. You've got 2 expression pedal jacks, as well as toe switch, amp control, I don't know what those are. You've got a headphone jack, which has a little button, I'm not sure what that does. Aux in, so I guess if you want to plug in iPhone for some backing tracks maybe. 2 stereo output sections. Output 1, you have the option of XLR or 1/4 inch. There's also a nice ground lift button if you have any noise. And then you've got output 2. So you could route this to 2 different things, whether it's, you know, one of your powered speakers and then something to the front of house if you're gigging. You've got 4 loop sections, which allows you to plug in external stop boxes and pedals and use them in conjunction with the effects and amps built into the Tone Master, which is pretty cool. Loops 3 and 4, you can have it so it's a stereo effect. So if you have stereo delays or modulations or courses, you can use that. And then you've got your inputs here. You've got your instrument input where you're plugging guitar, and then a mic line. So you could plug in a vocal mic or maybe like a keyboard into that. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Okay, so I'm given a prompt to update the firmware at the time of this video. It's not up yet on the website, so we're just gonna roll with it. So the first thing that you'll see is a preset already loaded. We're on preset number 1. This is the 65 Deluxe Reverb. And what I like about this design is it's kind of a hybrid between floorboards that we already know and kind of like software plugins. You've got this great screen that shows you exactly what's in the preset, what pedals and amps are involved in the preset. I love how they included the images and it's full color. So it's very intuitive. It reminds me of like a really nice plugin. On the left and the right side of the screen, you've got 2 big knobs. The first one says preset and push gig view. So right now we're kind of in preset view, but if I press it, gig view is basically kind of clears the screen out so you have just like the preset number and the name. That might be cool if you're on stage and you don't want to worry about what's on the screen. And then here you've got your master volume. So I guess this is like the master output, and push for the mixer. So you've got you know, a mixer with faders here that controls the output to the headphone jack, outputs 1 and 2. I'm going stereo, so I'll be using outputs 1 and 2, as well as some of these USB outs. I'm not going to mess around with that too much, but let's look at the foot switches. Right here on the left side, we've got a bank up and bank down button, which allows you to switch between a set of 6 banks, 6 presets within each bank, which are located or preset here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I bank up, then it switches to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so on and so forth. I'm gonna bank down just to see how many presets you can put on here. Up to 504 presets right now, and I'm sure it might be expandable. On the right side, we've got the flashing tap tempo for any kind of delays or tremolos you might have, as well as if you hold it, it gives you the tuner. Actually, let's tune real quick. And then here you have something called FS mode, which I'm assuming is Footswitch mode. Right now I'm in preset 1, which is a 65 deluxe reverb, and if you can see on the screen, basically a deluxe reverb amp. I think that's like a space delay. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay there. But then you see there's another pedal that's kind of blacked out. I could probably click on it, and it is a Royal Tone stomp box that's already bypassed. So let's go back to the main screen. If I hit this FS mode, Footswitch mode, so then it brings up all the individual components that you can switch on and off. In the middle here, I don't know if you can read that, hopefully you can, it says 65 deluxe reverb. So you can switch on and off the onboard reverb of this amp model, which is cool. You've got the space delay that you can turn on and off. And then this hidden overdrive pedal, the Royal Tone, I can switch on and off here. Which is pretty cool. So you can actually, in this FS mode, it's more set up like, kind of like a pedal board or maybe like a Bradshaw switching system, which is cool. And then this thing, it says intensity, which I haven't played around with yet, so it brings on the tremolo, onboard tremolo of the amp, which is really cool. So it really is like having a pedal board with the foot switch for the amp all in one. So you have control over the foot switchable stuff that would be on a real deluxe reverb, as well as, you know, the delay on this side, and then the overdrive on this side. Let's get into this a little bit more. So if I click on the amp right on the screen, you can see that it gives you the image of the amp, so I can adjust the controls, I think right on the screen. Like if I hold down the knob and drag up and down, I can adjust all the knobs. Also, what I really like about this design is these foot switches are actually knobs themselves. You can rotate these knobs that are corresponding to whatever knobs are on the amp or the pedal that you'll load up, which I really like. I actually prefer the foot switch knobs as opposed to, you know, dragging the slider finger. That just makes more sense to me as opposed to having a separate foot switch and separate knobs. It just really cleans up the look of this whole, you know, floorboard. But I think you can adjust like the cabinets. So I can choose another cabinet. Like I can keep the deluxe reverb amp chassis and put it through any number of other cabinets, even up to like a 412 Uberschall or something. Let's see what that sounds like. A little bassier. You can also adjust the mics. So right now we're going through a dynamic SM7B. If I wanted to do a classic SM57. little more mid-rangey. And this is actually the first time I'm doing this in this menu. Haven't delved deep into this speaker menu yet. Okay, so you can click on different distances from either the cap edge, the cone edge, which is easy. Instead of moving around a physical mic, you can just be like, I want to be 0 inches from the cap, or 0 inches from the cone edge. So you're obviously getting a brighter sound when you have the mic that close to the cap. That sounds cool. You've also got on axis, off axis, a low cut filter, and a high cut filter. So let's say I don't want this amp anymore. Let's replace it with a different amp, and you've got all these different amps, combo amps, pretty much all of the classic Fenders, from Deluxes to Princetons to Supers to Twins, newer bass breaker models, Blues Junior, then you got like a jazz chorus type clean, some Voxy type stuff, some Marshall-y stuff, Mesa Boogie, EVH, Friedman, and I'm assuming this can be updated later on. I'm sure they'll be doing updates and hopefully adding more amp models. Of course, you've got all these effects here, stomp boxes, bighorn fuzz, a bunch of overdrives, distortions, octave, fuzz. And you know, I'm kind of reminded of the Mustang amp that I demoed a couple years ago, which was a combo amp, and it had a lot of this type of stuff in it that you would adjust with the app on an iPad. At least that's how I did it. So I like having it all in one, and the screen is great. Hopefully I'm not getting too many fingerprints on it. You've also got fuzz, chorus, flange, all the modulation stuff, delay, digital, memory man, all the good stuff. Everything you need, I would think. All the different reverbs, all the different compressors, EQs, gates, wah. Now that's one thing that I'm noticing is this doesn't have a built-in expression pedal type thing or wah. You can obviously plug in any expression pedal into it, I think any expression pedal, and use it however you want, whether it's a volume pedal or a wah or like a whammy pedal. As it comes, it does not have that included. You've also got IRs, which it says, when I click on it, it says coming soon, so that might actually be in the update, hopefully, but there is some sort of option to have IRs, which if you don't know what IRs is, they're basically models of mic'd up cabinets that you can probably import, like third party. And then the effects loop. So earlier when I was talking about all of the inputs and outputs, there were 4 different effects loops that you can use to plug in outboard pedals that you may already have, like fuzzes or overdrives or whatever. Okay, so I just want to go through some of the onboard presets, just really quickly skimming through some of them. EVH 5150. If I go into FS mode, there's some extras here. Delay. Now something cool that's kind of obvious is you could probably drag all of this stuff anywhere within the chain. So if I wanted to put the delay before the amp, I wouldn't do that normally, but just so you know, you can drag these really easily anywhere on the pedal chain. Green box, it's like a Tube Screamer 808. Phaser. Flange. Oh, cool. So that's really cool. That is a momentary switch on the flange. I didn't know that, so I think maybe Footswitch preset settings? No. Footswitch assign. Okay, so on this particular foot switch right here, where it says switch, you can select it to latching, which is how a normal foot switch on a pedal would go, you know, on off, or momentary, which is how this is set. So that's pretty easy. And also in this menu, preset foot switch assignment, you can assign how these foot switches act, really. So right now, on off is kind of the normal. There's a parameter change, which might, like if you want to change a setting on the amp or the pedal itself, amp control, 1 and 2, I don't know exactly what that does. You can change stuff like the color of the light, when it's on or off. You can, you know, whatever the label says, you can obviously write in whatever you want. It looks like, so you can have multiple functions to one foot switch. That's pretty intense. I don't know what I would do. Maybe, let's say if I wanted one switch to turn off a series of pedals, that would make sense. Oh, that's cool. So if I wanted to move the foot switch to another switch, it's as easy as just dragging it on the screen and dropping it. All right. Cutting edge. I'm assuming this is U2-ish. That's a little hot on the amp, so let me adjust the amp. So in the amp settings, some additional things you can do other than the onboard amp knobs and switches. There's like a master amp level that you can adjust. I guess like a master output of the amp, as well as a noise gate, which is cool. And you've got a couple levels, low, medium, high, and max. So I'm assuming with something like really, really high gain, you'll want to play around with a noise gate. That sounds killer. And hopefully you're listening in stereo with headphones or really nice speakers. Let's move on to something a little more traditional, maybe? Vibro blues. Reverb, spring reverb, real spring reverb. So this is kind of, that should be a little more surfy, but I actually like to put it before the amp, normally, in real life. So let's do that. Let's also turn off the green box. And the tremolo. Oh, here we go. Summer of Jimmy. You know how I'm a big Jimi Hendrix fan. Let's see how this does. So we've got a Univibe going, a tape echo, and a large plate reverb. They also put an octave fuzz. As well as a fuzz face. Okay, I approve. As far as how many onboard presets come with this, let's go all the way. So right now they give you 95 presets. Now some of these I'm seeing are it says Pedalboard 1 or FX Pedalboard 1. So it looks like these are just the pedals without the amp, which is really cool. So you can actually use this just like a regular pedal board and use like a real amp, which we're gonna test that a little bit later, but 80 Studio Clean, what is this? I approve of that as well. Ice cold shot. Oh, that's swirly. That's cool. So on this preset, you can toggle between the speed on the vibratone pedal between fast and slow. So this is slow. Now fast. That's really cool. So there's a lot of foot switchable features that you can do with this. You can get really deep into the menus. Let's try something with humbuckers. Bass breaker high, that's... Let's check out the noise gate. Off. Still quiet. Low. Medium. High. And then max. Sounded fine on medium. Let's add some stuff to this rig. It's a nice platform. So, effects, maybe we'll put a delay after. Echo filter stereo, I don't know what that is, but let's try it. Confirm. That's cool, but I want to replace it with something ping pong delay. Let's try that. Just the time a little bit. 500. So that's cool. So when you're adjusting the knobs, you know, from this screen, you can actually see the readout of milliseconds on the time knob, which I really like. And obviously, you can tap tempo it. Ah, and depending on the tap division, so if I want to do, let's do a dotted eighth note. Spread. Okay, so let's keep it wide so you get the stereo effect. Now it seems there's another screen. If I hit that, there's some other knobs that you don't see. Let's add something in front of the amp. Octobot. No idea what that is, but let's try it. Okay, it's an octave pedal. Another thing we can do, when we talked about, is putting an actual pedal in one of the loops. So I have here kind of like my go-to fuzz pedal going into effects loop 1. You can see that it's activated. Now, if I wanted to, I can add effects loop 1 in this chain. So now I've got my fuzz pedal. Let's put this on a button. Footswitch assign, we'll put it up here. On, off, that one. Effects loop 1, that's fine. Let's make the color something different, like yellow. That's it. Put the gate before it. Nope. Okay, so that's something to note is when you're using the effects loops with real pedals, they automatically go to the beginning of the chain. So I can't really place it anywhere else. I'm hoping that they'll have an update to where you're able to do that, but right now you can only put the effects loop at the very beginning of the chain. Okay, so I was telling you guys that there's a couple presets that are just strictly pedals without the amp modeling. I have my ToneMaster Pro plugged directly into an amp that I use all the time, which is a Friedman, and here's how it sounds without any of the pedals on. So kind of a clean pedal platform. Pedalboard number 1. Looks like we've got a drive pedal. Vibrato. Tape echo. Now remember, these pedals are all going in the front of the amp. as well as the large hall. So for something like this preset, it would be best to have a very clean amp. Just because if you have time-based effects like delays and reverbs, overdriven amp, it's gonna sound a little washier. Rodent, which I'm assuming is like a rat. I think right now I want to give you a sample of what it sounds like kind of in the room with this powered speaker. Okay, so I've got the ToneMaster Pro plugged in, one cable mono into this powered speaker, the FR12. My voice mic up here is actually the only thing that's picking up the speaker. So hopefully you can get a feel for what it sounds like in a room. And I am on just the deluxe reverb patch number 1. Now, obviously, I can adjust the master volume right on the ToneMaster Pro with this knob. But the FR12 actually has some controls here. You've got the master volume, treble, middle, bass, as well as a cut knob. So you can actually tweak the EQ, the final EQ hitting the speaker after the ToneMaster Pro. So it's really cool to have that option. And this is pretty loud. I mean, I'm barely on 2, and it says here on the label, it's 1,000 watts. I'm gonna have the master on 100 and see how quiet I can get this. This makes a really nice bedroom amp setup. I mean, probably you'll be able to hear my picking on the strings as well as a little bit of the amp. Okay, let's talk about 3 things I like about the ToneMaster Pro. First and foremost is probably just the ease of use and how intuitive it is. Everything from the foot switch knobs. I really like the software and the screen. It's just really easy to drag and drop things around. You know, everything just seems to make sense, and the fact that I was able to figure out most of the stuff by myself without the help of a manual, and that's kind of a big thing in my book. Second thing that I like the size of it. I think it's just, you know, the perfect compact size, or maybe I just like the way that it's laid out. It's clean, it looks good, and it's definitely not overwhelming at first glance. And the third thing I like about this is all of the inputs and outputs that you have readily available. Obviously, the 4 effects loops are really cool. The option of running 2 separate stereo outputs is really cool. Okay, now moving on to the 3 things I dislike about this. I do wish that it had an included expression pedal. That's something that I'm used to. You know, there's a lot of wah effects and whammy effects that would be cool, and having like a volume pedal. It's not a deal breaker. Obviously, I've got expression pedals that I can easily plug in, but I think, you know, it'd be cool to have it attached already. Number 2, that issue I had with the effects loops, that you can't really move them around. I'm hoping that they resolve that in a following update, maybe this, you know, first update. And the third thing, I think it would be cool if it came with like a carrying case or a gig bag of some sorts. At least mine that I received did not come with some sort of soft case or gig bag. I think that would be a cool option to have included. That's it. Other than that, those are the only qualms I have. All right, guys, there you have it. That is the new ToneMaster Pro Digital Modeler from Fender. If you want to learn more about this product, or if you want to go ahead and buy it, I'll put links down in the description. Thanks again to Fender for sending this over and letting me check this out. And thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, gear demos, or guitar lessons, click that subscribe button. I'm Ronquillo, and I'll see you in the next video.